Hey everyone, welcome back to the Haunted Cafe. My name is Amber and I will be your guide to the spooky and mysterious today, as always on this channel. Take a seat, get a little bit comfy with a nice cup of something hot because we have a spooky tale to tell. But first, before we get started, let's talk about drinks. Today, I have something a little special, something I haven't actually heard of before. It's lychee is it lychee or lychee? Either way, it's lychee and lime green tea with natural flavorings by Taylor. I don't know if you can see that. Let me go. I have my notes or whatever up, so let's see if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so that's what I'm trying today. It's part of the big box set that I got. It's like this huge assorted teas and infusions. So I talked about this on the last video, the Alice killings. It's got like infusions, which are like mix-ins kind of, and that sour cherry is actually what I was talking about, not cherry bomb. But either way, they've got a bunch of different ones that we're going to try eventually on this channel. But for right now, lychee and lime. So let's try it. Sorry about my chair. I also got a spooky ghost mug, and I'm really happy about it. If you can't tell, it's August 4th when I'm recording this, and I'm excited about Halloween already. So, yeah, but let's try this. That's really good. It's kind of mild, which I feel like a lot of these teas are. They're not overbearing or overpowered. Really good though. Kind of sweet, kind of not. I don't know how to describe it. Very good though. I really like it. One more sip. But yeah, that's really good. Green tea is one of my favorite teas. I'll drink it hot or cold. My aunt actually makes it a weird way that I've never heard of. Actually, anyway. Other people might do this. I've just never done it, but she makes it like regular iced tea, except it's green tea, and she even puts like sugar and stuff in it too, and it tasted really good. I've just never had it that way before. So, have you had it that way before? And I'm just dumb or not used to it. Either way, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah. So today, let me get the screen up. Today we are going to be talking about the Vanishing Lady or the Vanishing Hotel Room. Kind of gives a little bit of like the ending or in the description or in the title, like gives it away a little bit, but it's a lot more. There's a lot more involved than I realized. So I had actually heard of this through a movie. I'm going to talk about the movie at the end, but it was just something that I didn't realize was actually like an urban legend more than just like something that the director made up for a movie. But yeah, so let's get into it. On November 14th, 1897, an article was written by Nancy Vincent McClellan, sorry, in the Philadelphia Inquiry that shocked anyone who read it. The article was simply titled "A Mystery of the Paris Exposition," which I think exposition just means like traveling around. Um, you know, basically like a vacation, just fancier. But I think it's more like a longer period of vacationing where you go for like months or even maybe a year compared to like just the few days that most of us get. But I just wanted to say that before we begin all of this legend has a bunch of different variations. So if you hear me tell the story my way, that doesn't exactly sound like the way you've heard it. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means that that was just one way that you've heard this. This is one way I've heard this. And no one exactly knows which one is correct, but like, for example, there's a mom and a daughter main character that I'm going to talk about. Some cases it talks about two sisters. Sometimes it talks about just two acquaintances that happen to meet on like a train. So it kind of depends on who you hear it from, is what the actual story is. But anyway, so how like the basic story goes is that a woman and her daughter are traveling around Europe exploring the sights and all that fun stuff when suddenly the mother starts to become very ill. Um, at this point in time, they're in Paris, so they decide to get a really nice hotel, relax kind of for the night, just so the mom can get some kind of break. They both check in and they're given a room to like share together because I think at that time, two women couldn't, or like a woman couldn't be accompanied by herself. Like she couldn't go places by herself. That could just be me pulling something out of my butt, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it was. I could be wrong. But either way, they get a hotel room together and they go and check in, go upstairs, unpack kind of. And just as they're arriving and getting settled, the mom's illness just starts getting worse and worse. Like she's just start feeling bad. So she actually lays down on the bed and just, you know, guess starts to go to sleep. Eventually, the daughter goes to the main desk clerk and she asks for a doctor. Depending on which story you hear, like which version, there's either like a language barrier or they understand each other perfectly. I guess that's probably just because it's in Paris and maybe at that point in time not a bunch of people knew English. But either way, the clerk does send for a doctor and he does come, goes upstairs to the room to see the mom. Um, he says that the mother needs a certain prescription that you can only get at a certain pharmacy. So he sends the daughter out to this pharmacy, and it happens to be on the completely opposite side of town. Like, Paris, I think, is kind of big. So he basically just sends her, like, halfway, all the way across town, and expects her to come back quickly with this prescription. Um, and depending on what story you hear, once again, it's either she hit a bunch of traffic and it took her like forever to get over there and back, or it was she couldn't find a taxi, or the taxi was making wrong turns. Like, depending on what you hear, it's, all these crazy things. But, yeah. So finally, the daughter does come back to their hotel and she, walks in, rushes past the desk clerk and tries to head up to the elevator or stairs or whatever to go to her mom's room. But she's stopped by the man at the front desk. And he was probably saying something along the lines of like, "Oh, you need to buy a room. What are you doing? You can't just go upstairs. Like, you have to pay for a room." Um, kind of thing. And obviously she kind of looks confused at this guy, and like he's probably looking at her confused, and they're just like, you know two different on two different like playing grounds, I guess, because she's like, "What are you talking about? You just saw me. You know me. You know my mom. You know that she's sick. You know that I asked for a doctor. Yada yada yada." Literally, it's been like maybe an hour. You know who I am. But this clerk swears, swears on like everything that he has not seen her before ever. Doesn't remember the mom, doesn't remember her, has no idea what she's talking about. And obviously, at this point, she's a mess because she's probably thinking, like, did I go into this wrong hotel? I mean, I recognize this dude, I recognize the hotel, but did I happen to, like, stumble into the wrong place? She even probably goes outside and, like, looks at the hotel, like name or whatever, and is like, "Yeah, this is the right place." So she goes back inside, whatever, and she talks to this clerk like, what do you mean you don't know me? Like, I rented this room, I paid for it, blah blah blah. So by this point, he's called the manager. So when this manager arrives, she starts talking to this guy, which is just, once again, someone she's never met before, and she's like, "Guy, dude, like, I can tell you what this room looks like. I can tell you details of the room. I can tell you what number we were in. Like, please, you have to believe me. This is my room. Like, blah, blah, blah. Which it gives way that she's been there before, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you know, she was just checked in. Like, maybe she's been there before in, like, the last week or so. Nobody knows. So, she does go into detail of the room, and for like example, she's saying it's a green themed room. There's green walls with hardwood floors, and the bed is like a large emerald green cover. There she goes to like even describe where the furniture is, saying that there's like a dresser across from the bed, and she thinks that she's explaining this room in like the greatest detail ever. But both the clerk and the manager are now both looking at her like, are you okay? What's the matter with you? And the manager pretty much flat out tells her like, no, you're wrong. Like, that's not what the room looks like. It's a completely different room. And he was like, you pretty much must have this wrong hotel. This is not the hotel that you checked into. And now, this point, the daughter is pretty much like losing her shit. And she's like, I need to see this room. I need to know that you guys aren't, for some reason, pulling my leg, right? So they finally agree. And, which is weird because it's like, she could, one, be wasting time at this hotel that she somehow knows about, like what stuff looks like recognizes, I guess. She's wasting her time in this hotel when her mom's sick somewhere else. Or there's just something weird going on with this hotel. But anyway, either way, she insists that the mother is upstairs in that room and that she's very sick. She needs to get up there with this medicine that she has in her hand. And for some reason, these guys are still telling her, no, you're wrong, ma'am. Like, this isn't the right hotel. You're in the wrong place. So finally, they agree. Fine, we'll show you this room. We'll take you upstairs. As soon as you go upstairs and see, like, hey, this room is not what you think, you need to leave, pretty much. So she's like, fine, whatever, let's go. And so she goes up there, and what she sees would just like blow her mind, pretty much. Like, if this was me, I would be so confused, so lost. I'd probably start crying because so so I just like a quick like break in between. I had like literally an alternate reality moment yesterday, which this is kind of what this reminds me of, is like an alternate reality where like the mom somehow doesn't exist. We'll get to that, but it reminds me of like an alternate universe or an alternate reality. I'm like, Alan really messed with my psyche yesterday. Alan, my fiance. Anyway, so we were in a Dollar General shopping. We were getting like snacks and stuff like that, and I turned to grab like cashews or something, and when I turned back around, Alan was gone. And I was like, oh, okay, he must have just went somewhere to go grab food or whatever, like grab something. And so I go to our cart, and then I'm like kind of walking around like the snack aisles and stuff trying to find him, and he's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, this man did not like, is he playing a prank on me? Like, did he just like run down an aisle to like go somewhere? But like, I was scared that he was just like pranking me, and I didn't want to fall for it. Like I'm not that gullible. But he didn't show up. Like, it was like not it. The whole thing probably happened within like 5 minutes. But like internally, I'm like panicking. I'm like, where did he just go? Like, did he leave me? Is he pulling a prank on me? Like, what the hell just happened? And I'm like, not really wanting to leave, like, that section of the Dollar General. Like, I didn't want to leave, like, the candy and snack aisle. Because I'm like, well, if he comes back, like, I'm going to be halfway down, like, the aisles and stuff gone. And he's going to wonder where I am now. Like, So I was like, I'm just gonna wait in my spot and see if he comes back. Well, like the more and more that I'm waiting, the more and more I'm panicking, and I'm like, did I just like make up Alan? like, like this is. But I've been listening to a lot of like alternate universe like videos and like podcasts, so that's why I'm like, that's why my mind went there. Normally, I'm not this crazy, I promise. But anyway, so I found him in the Halloween candy aisle because he decided to abandon everything and just like head down that way. And I was like halfway across the store. So, yeah. But anyway, this kind of just reminds me of it is where like someone you know is there 1 minute and then gone the next. And it was like, what the, what the fuck just happened? And like, if I had walked into this room and saw what this woman saw, this daughter saw, I probably would have lost my shit. So, anyway, so they take her into this room and they unlock the door. As soon as she steps inside, she's just shocked to see that this whole room, like literally the entirety of the room, is different. And I just completely different. So, like how I was saying, it was like this green room with this green carpet and the blah blah blah. Now it's a red room. It's got red bedding, red carpet. Even the walls are papered red. Like everything is different. I'm like, all the furniture's moved around, different. And it's like, how does that happen? Literally in like an hour. Like, you know, she swears that this is the room. You know what I mean? So like, how did she think like green to red? It's not like it's weird. You know what I mean? Like this is not something that would normally happen. Um, And obviously, like the most important thing of it all is that her mom is completely gone from the bed as well. She's not laying there anymore. The bed's completely empty. If you hear like I don't know, I don't even know what you would hear. It's raining, so if you hear any kind of weird noises, that's what it is. So anyway, um, obviously the daughter's now panicking because her mom's gone. The room's different. These guys are saying that they don't recognize her, and it's like her whole world is like crashing the fuck down. And she's probably like extremely distraught, and she asks them like, can I lay down for a minute? I'm having like a mental breakdown. So they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. They lay her down in the bed of now Red Room, and they decide to call the doctor. So what doctor do you think shows up? The same doctor that sent her out to get this prescription. Only this time, the doctor pretends that he doesn't recognize her at all. Now, my thing is like, this doctor wrote this prescription and she took it. Now, I don't know how it was back then, but like nowadays, it has the doctor's note, like, or the doctor's name written on the prescription bottle. Was it the same way then? Like like who prescribed it, I'm not sure, but if it was like, she could have been like, oh well, I do know you because you just gave me this, like, but if not, then that once again, she had no way of proving like, hey, I know you. So it's just a really messed up story. um so at this point in time, it kind of varies depending on the story, kind of varies depending on who you ask. I feel like it kind of depends on who's telling the story, and what I mean by like the person themselves, kind of like how like graphic or horror-ish they want the ending to be, because like there's a few different things. But I'm going to tell what's probably considered like the widely accepted ending. Um, so at this point in time in the story, this woman is probably feeling like extremely nauseous, like nervous, defeated, just probably very terrified because it's like she doesn't know where her mom is. She doesn't know where she is now at this point because she feels like she thinks it's a different hotel. And now she has like three men just like looking at her like, are you okay? you know? And, just when she's feeling like all hope is lost, the manager of the hotel just like breaks down and confesses to what really has been going on. Um, Pretty much what happened was, after she left the hotel, the doctor started to like continue to take care of her mom, like treat her or whatever. But her health declined so rapidly that she passed away before the daughter even made it back. It's believed that she had some kind of like disease, like a flu or something, that back then, like, they didn't really know how to cure quickly. So it just took her out, took her mom out, like, so easily. But here is where it gets worse. Um, Basically, the manager says that when her mom passed, he was worried about the hotel's reputation. Reputation. Jeez. I guess they didn't want to be known as like the flu hotel or the death hotel type thing. Like, they wanted this high class establishment. Um, so while the daughter was out getting this prescription, they moved the body and redecorated pretty much the entire room from floor to ceiling. Like they changed the wallpaper and everything. And my thing was like either it took the daughter like forever to get back to the hotel, or they got a bunch of like employees to literally like make over this room in like an hour to an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Because like me personally, I don't know like how big Paris is, like from one side to another. So I don't know if it's like a half hour ride, an hour ride, or if it's even like 20, 15, 15, 20 minutes. Like, so the fact that they literally reorganized that whole room from like top to bottom and like, new wallpaper, new flooring, new everything. Like, they went to extreme, like, lengths to make this woman believe that she was in the wrong room or wrong spot. And like me personally, I don't really see what the end game is here. Like, what were they planning on doing with the daughter at this point? Um, I think other stories, like I said, depending on how morbid you want to get, like they kill the daughter then because obviously, like she's gonna know that something happened to her mom, and like the story could go a gazillion ways, but obviously they didn't kill the daughter because how would the story, you know, move around? So, um, I'm just not sure of like what they thought was gonna happen. Like if they weren't planning on killing the daughter and blah blah blah. Like did they think that she would just believe that she was in the wrong hotel? That she would just be like, "Oh man, sorry, wrong hotel," and just like leave? Like, and then where would she go? You know what I mean? Um and did they really think that something like this wouldn't have made their reputation worse? Personally, I don't think I'd go to a hotel where they might like hide my mom from me. Like, it's just a weird story. Like, oh, she passed away. Like, I get, like, you don't want the reputation of, like, people have died here. Most hotels kind of, like, live up, live that up. Like, oh, there was a death in this room. Now it's haunted. These guys obviously weren't that type of hotel. They were trying to keep, like, what's the word? Like, fanciness and, like, um, a good reputation. I don't know how else to put that. Like, they were trying to not be this low life type of place. I don't know. But like for me though, it's like why was that your first thought instead of like quietly taking the daughter aside and saying, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry, but when you were gone, your mom passed away. Please, we do not want to like talk about the fact that she died here, blah blah blah." Like, I'm pretty sure that I know I personally, if the hotel said that, I'd be like, okay, well, I mean, we don't have to say this is exactly where she died, but I don't know. But my question is also, who thought about like redecorating the room? Like, who thought that the daughter would want to go up there and like try and recognize it and stuff like that? So why so much like they thought like, oh yeah, she'll want to come into this room and blah blah blah. So we have to change it all. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a genius idea. It's a little sick and genius, but whoever needs it, whoever thought of that probably needs therapy. Because it's like, we know that this daughter that doesn't know her mom's dead is going to want to come up to this room and take a look at it and be like, see, I told you, this is exactly how I described it. So, obviously, my mom's here somewhere. But instead, this guy, whoever it was, changed the whole thing. Wonder if they'd done it before. If this was a true story, because we don't know actually if it's a true story or not. I wonder if this hotel has done this before, so they have like backup like wallpaper and stuff like that. Cause that's nuts. I don't know. Like I obviously I wasn't alive in like the 1800s. No idea how this would have worked. But if it were me, if I were the daughter and like all of this was happening and now like my mom's missing, I would have tried calling the police and like trying getting them to do like searches of the hotel. Like and obviously that would have been like a whole lot worse for the hotel's reputation, like knowing that they like hid a body or hid just a dying woman instead of just like admitting that someone died in their room or was going to die in their room. Because believe it or not, like even nowadays a lot of people die in hotel rooms. It's really common actually. um some sources say that the mom might have died from the Black Plague, and that's kind of why they were trying to hide it. It wasn't really just necessarily like the flu, it was the Black Plague. And like, they didn't want the rest of like Paris's tourists to just like up and leave. But I'm not really sure if that's like the truth or not. It's just kind of like a possibility. Um, What's funny to me is that if this were a real tale, like this hotel and everything is absolutely real, they kind of literally did the opposite of what they wanted to do. The whole goal of them like hiding the body and changing everything in the room was to, you know, not let this incident get out in public. But it kind of did anyway, even if it's not real. Um, as I said in the beginning of the episode, it seems like the first person to write about this was Nancy Vincent McClellan, and she's from the Philadelphia Inquirer. In case you didn't know, Philadelphia is actually located in Pennsylvania, which is the US, which is pretty far away from Paris. That just goes to show you that the story didn't exactly like stay between the walls of the hotel. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like we're not going to tell anybody about this. In fact, it didn't even just stay in Philly. I think the that article in the Philadelphia Inquiry was like the or Inquirer was like the first article known, but it didn't just stay there. It went from like to New York to other, a bunch of other places. Pretty much everyone over in the US probably had heard some form of this story. So they did the exact opposite of what they wanted. I will say though that the hotel's name is never in any of the reports, so I don't know if this kind of like disproves the story as being true or not, or if it just means that the hotel covered up their crime. Not crime. Is that a crime? Like honestly, I mean, yeah, I guess so, because you're like stealing a dead body and because I don't know what they planned on doing with the dead body or what they did do with the dead body, but it's like, hmm, yeah, it's kind of messed up. Um, so yeah, they're crimes. Um, this story has stood like the test of time. Even if it's not real, it's been 127 years since the first time it was published. And it's still talked about with the same amount of awe and unbelievability that it probably did the first day that it was read. Um, Me personally, I'm not sure if this is true or not. If it is, wild. Like I said, wild. Like I couldn't picture somebody like just taking like my mom's dead body, cuz like my mom did pass away. So like she passed away of lung cancer. So like I'm thinking if she were to have died in a hotel and someone did actually, like, I was 5 when she passed away, so I wouldn't have done shit. But if it was me now, like, I would have been raising hell. I would have been like, no, my mom's here somewhere. We're gonna go room to room. I'm going to tear this fucking I'm gonna tear this hotel down, like, until we find this. So you either need to tell me or what. Because I wouldn't have believed, if I had never been to Paris before, I never would have believed that I was at the wrong hotel, especially when I'm recognizing all the people, I'm recognizing the lobby and the design and stuff. The only thing that the woman didn't recognize was the room itself, and that's because they fucking changed it. So, um, I kind of got off track. Sorry. But yeah. So the story has been inspiration for many movies and TV shows. In fact, like I said at the beginning, the first time I heard this story, or at least I guess like the idea of this vanishing woman slash room, was actually from Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I actually love Alfred Hitchcock shows and movies and stuff. And this one is actually called Into Thin Air. It's literally the exact same storyline as what I told. I don't remember the ending. Don't remember if it's different or not, so I might not have given away the whole, the whole storyline. But I think to say it's safe to say that this is a terrifying story, real or not, because I feel like it could possibly happen. Like, even today. I feel like it might even be more possible for this to happen today. I mean, we do have a lot of social media and we do have cameras, we do have all of that stuff, so I could see it not lasting long, but I could see this happening again. Like, I could see someone passing away. Because if you think about it, it's different, but it's still kind of similar. The Lisa, or what's her name? Eliza Lamb. I might be saying that wrong. Sorry. But the lady that died at the Cecil Hotel in the water tanks, like, she just vanished thin air in those tanks. And, like, the only reason that no one knew, and any reason that anybody knew, is because the water started turning brown and the parents were calling from Canada, I think. But, like, so, but no one knows what happened. You know what I mean? Like, everybody just says that she might have done that, like, might have climbed in herself, but no one knows. So that's the thing, is that, like, I feel like if someone were to die in a hotel and maybe, like, the mother, or, like, someone else that's with that person is out, like, maybe not this exact thing would happen, but I feel like some hotel could get away with some shady shit if they really wanted to, which is scary. um Honestly, me personally, for the daughter's like sake of this, I kind of hope that the story is not true. I kind of hope it's made up, because this story is kind of like the pure definition of like gaslighting and like, making someone think that they're crazy. Like, it really makes you question, like, your reality, I guess, is the thing. But I'm curious to know what you guys think of this episode. Do you think it's a real story? Or do you think it's more of an urban legend? Do you think that you would be confused if something like this happened to you? Like I said, I don't know how I would react in the Dollar General earlier. I kind of just froze up and got scared. But eventually, like, I started, like, all right, I have to figure out what's going on. So I feel like, me personally, like, if I found, I knew for sure I was in the right hotel, I would be like knocking on doors, being like, where the fuck is so and so? Like, where's my mom? So let me know what you guys think down in the video comments section below on YouTube. I just wanted to remind you really quick that the Haunted Cafe is available on YouTube, Spotify. We're also available on Amazon Music, and maybe, probably, somewhere else you listen to podcasts. I kind of just threw the podcast out there as many places as I could, but I don't know if I have everywhere. But yeah, let me know what you think of this episode. And I'll see you in the next one. Catch you later.